Hello everyone, in this video we will explore about the neural pathway of somatosensation. Let's start with the basics. Sensory receptors are specialized neurons that detect various types of physical events like light, sound, touch, taste and smell. These receptors act as the body's first point of contact with the environment. When a stimulus is detected, something fascinating happens, a process that we call as the sensory transduction. This is the process by which sensory stimuli are converted into electrical signals known as the receptor potentials. A receptor potential is a slow, graded electrical change that occurs in a receptor cell in response to a physical stimulus. In simpler terms, it's the electrical language that allows our brain to interpret what's happening in the world around us. Among all the sensory systems, the visual systems has been the most thoroughly studied, making it one of the best understood. However, as research has advanced, scientists have discovered that all sensory systems, whether it's auditory, tactile, or olfactory, share fundamental similarities in how they are organized and function. Now let's understand how these sensory systems are represented in the cerebral cortex. The sensory areas of the cortex are generally divided into three types. We have the primary sensory cortex, secondary sensory cortex, association cortex. The primary sensory cortex of a system is the region that receives most of its input directly from the thalamic relay nuclei of that system. For example, the primary visual cortex is the part of the brain that receives information directly from the lateral geniculate nucleus of the thalamus, which processes visual input. Next, we have the secondary sensory cortex. This area receives information primarily from the primary sensory cortex or from the cortex areas within the same symptoms. It helps refine, integrate, and interpret the sensory informations further. Finally, there's the association cortex. This is where multiple sensory systems come together. The association cortex receives input from more than one sensory modality. For instance, it combines visual and auditory information to help us recognize a person by both sight and voice. Most of this input comes from the secondary sensory areas. The way these three cortical regions interact follows three major principles that define how our brain processes sensory information. One is the hierarchical organization, meaning information flows from simple to complex processing. Basic features are analyzed first in the primary areas and then integrated into the more complex perceptions in higher order areas. Functional segregation. Different areas of the cortex specialize in processing specific types of information. Parallel processing. Multiple streams of information are processed simultaneously, allowing the brain to interpret several aspects of a stimulus at once. In essence, our sensory system works like a finely tuned orchestra. Each part has its own role, yet they all work together harmoniously to create our experience of the world.